Your show will go live in 5 seconds.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Love Talk Radio.
I love hearing that. So here it is. It is Saturday morning, and it is Sensuous Saturdays. And I am here with one of my most favorite people in the whole world. She doesn't know that, but she knows it now. And this is Dr. Joy Martina. Good morning, Joy.
Good morning. It's so good to be here with you.
I love it. And so we were just chatting for a couple of minutes before we went live about how we're both here in our zones. And I was saying, we'd love if we were real neighbors. But here in the Zoom box, we are. She lives right upstairs from me in this picture. So this is your host, Dr. Deb Carlin, here on Blog Talk Radio and on YouTube and Zoom, and I blend them all together so that you can either go audio or visual with us or combine it. And this is the K factor, where K equals kindness, and the factors are all the things that lead to it. And I think that one of the factors today is Joy Martina. She is Dr. Joy, and I love the way that she describes and talks and writes about her mission is to spread joy around the world. And she really does. So, Joy, tell these lovely people in our audience, who, by the way, are around the world. I was looking at our stats on Blog Talk Radio. They really are around the world. So tell everybody who it is who I'm so crazy about.
Well, I'm Joy. I'm the mom of 3 kids of my own who are 23, 22, and 10 years old.
Yeah.
I have 5 stepchildren. I'm a teacher. I'm an author. I'm a student of life. And, it took me a while to live up to my name. I thought there was something seriously wrong with me, that I had such a blessed life, right? But I was just not happy.
Yeah.
I had all the things that I thought that we should have, right? And yet deep inside of me, I felt really frustrated and angry and, boxed in, and I had no idea how to get out. So for me to now really say I am Joy, that was huge for me. So I love just sharing what worked for me with as many people as I can, like on this opportunity right now, to say, okay, we are where we are right now. One part of finding our joy is really finding acceptance with what we have. And then let's share ideas how we can get out of a state of maybe misery or depression or just fatigue or confusion, right? And let's find ways to all find our joy. Because one thing I know that we have a right to pursue our happiness. And that sometimes already seems hard to do. Right. But even if we're pursuing happiness, that doesn't always necessarily mean that we will find our joy, because joy and happiness is just 2 different things, actually.
Oh, say more about that. I want to know. Say more about that. The world needs to hear more about that. Say what that means.
Well, happiness is usually defined as something that is determined by external forces. Okay. So I say I'm happy because it's my birthday. I'm happy because so-and-so has just come to see me. I'm happy because of this. I'm happy because of that. So I have reasons for that happiness. And we will often find ourselves maybe even saying, yeah, I can be truly happy when this and this happens, right?
Right.
And that's the kind of crux on the whole thing. Because,
right, conditional.
Yeah. And joy is something that is more internal.
Yeah.
It's more a state of being that is actually totally non-attached to what's happening around us. And that's a tough cookie to take, especially when you're going through a tough period in life and say, well, no kidding, it's easy for you to be happy, right? You can find your joy, you've got it all, right? But me, I don't know how to pay the next month's rent, I don't know this, I don't know that. And just hear me that I know that. And I think, we can have a pity party and we can say who has the biggest tragedy in life, who's had the biggest drama. And we could go that way. Or we say, we all get our burdens. We all have our hardships. We all have our challenges that we'll have to go through in life. Because that's how we learn. That's how we grow.
Yes.
And if we were to accept that and say, okay, if I have challenges in life, if stress is going to just be part of life, why don't I learn ways how to deal with that rather than resist it. You know, put so much energy into trying to avoid that.
Right. I love that you're saying that, because one of the things that we all do, that people do, and you and I are so committed to exactly what you're saying, is embrace everything in the now, right here, right now. I got so frustrated when I was in high school reading that 1-inch book, 1-inch thick book. The title of it, somebody gives it to me, Be Here Now. You open it up and every page for like 200 pages says Be Here Now, different font, up and down, back and forth, in a circle. And I was in the middle of the book and I was like yelling, what is the point of the book? What is the point of the book? I mean, what's the point? Where's the story? And the person was there with me and just kind of smiling off to the side, you know, like an older sage person. And I was fussing about this, and they said, keep going. It's like, be here now, be here now. And then when I take that with you said as a backdrop to what you're saying, Voltaire wrote in the 1400s, paradise is where you are. You know, don't save up for that 2-week vacation and then say, I'll be happy then, which is what you were saying a minute ago. I'll be happy then. When I get there, I'll be happy. When I'm in Hawaii, I'll be happy. No, because you're going there with yourself. Your mind and your attitude and your whole persona and spirit are traveling everywhere with you. And Tony Robbins was right. Where your mind goes, your energy flows. And if you're verstunken, not happy and joyful.
I love that. It's a Jewish word, right?
Yiddish. And then some I just put together myself.
I have a Jewish background, so a lot of Yiddish words really resonate.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, and yet that thing of being in the now, I think often is really the biggest stumbling block, because it seems so, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Then how do I do it? And then
Yes.
even if I know how to do it, right? If I follow instructions, like let's say being in the now, one form of that is meditation.
Yeah.
It's getting our brain into a relaxed state of mind, detaching from the outer buzz and going inside, right?
Right.
We know that. I bet all the listeners have read about that. Maybe
Yes.
about it. Maybe many
Right.
practice it, which is
Or
amazing.
heard the rumors about it.
Maybe some of you are like I was. I know that I had no clue about meditation for so many years, because I thought it's something that I just can't do. I'd sit down, right? And I'd close my eyes and I'd do this thing of, okay, follow your breath. But then my mind would take over, and my monkey mind would, I don't know, come with all the lists of things I had to do and all the frustrations. So I just give up, right?
Right.
And I remember I got into such a state of, I think, being on the hamster wheel, that at age, I don't know, 25, I think I was pretty burnt out. I was a young mom.
Yeah.
I was not sleeping anymore. I was trying to be Miss Super Perfect. And I was just, my nervous system was like this.
Yeah.
And meditation, that was like the furthest away from
Right.
where I was.
Who has time for that?
Until I decided, okay, I really will just practice this. If it is just a practice, and it is, then it's something that you can do. So yoga school really was the turning point for me. Although I had studied hypnosis, although I had, you know, I'd been putting other people in hypnosis, I could put myself in hypnosis. That was no problem anymore. But I wasn't meditating in silence on my own. I was always following some guidance. And then yoga school, we had the practice that every day you had to do your silent meditation. And I just started doing it. I would literally roll out of bed at 5 a.m., sit. And I would put my timer on, and then suddenly it became a habit, like brushing my teeth. And hear me, it really changed my life. It's for free. It takes 10 minutes a day. With 10 minutes a day, you will already create a shift. Problem is not if you just do it once, but say you do 10 days of 10 minutes. Once you've done 10 days of 10 minutes, you will want to do 30 days. And then suddenly you've done 3 months, and then it's a practice, it's a habit, because that's just how our brain works. So if there's anything you take away from this Blog Talk Radio or YouTube clip or whatever you are right now, make time for that. It's the first step of tuning into your intuition. You have to step out of the buzz. Otherwise, you're not going to hear that subtle voice. It's the first step to get the insight. Sorry, what were you going to say?
We're so excited that we're not interrupting. We're just excited, like running into one another here, colliding in a moment, like for a hug. So when people hear this, they're saying 10 minutes. What am I going to do inside in there in 10 minutes? Okay,
Right?
it's your head, it's your person. But describe to people, where would they sit? And what do they do? No music, no nothing, just absolute silence. Be quiet.
I
And
love
then just pay attention to what comes up, or what do you do?
I love that you're asking this question, because it really is about being this specific. Okay, so
Yes.
here's the ideal situation. You find something to sit on. So I have my meditation cushion right opposite here now, and it's a little baggy thing, right?
Okay.
And you can use a yoga block. You want to actually sit on something, because if you're a sort of normal Western person, you're not used to sitting on the floor in a cross-legged position.
Right.
That already can be a challenge for people. But
Right.
it's a challenge because you want to learn how to sit properly. So
Right.
this is something that, I mean, you'll find a lot of guidance on that in YouTube, but the main, or on other sources, but the main thing is you want to have your spine straight.
Okay.
Your neck should be straight.
Yes.
And your body should be as relaxed as possible in that position. So I like having my hands in a chin mudra on my thighs, but you could just have them palms open, whatever is comfortable, so your shoulders are relaxed, right?
Right.
So relax your shoulders, roll them away from the ears, feel your shoulder blades hugging at the back.
Oh, we're doing it. But if you can't see us, you're hearing it. We're doing it. If
Do
you're
it right
listening,
now.
do it. Yeah, right now. Okay.
And then just check in with your body and make sure, are both sits bones, right? Those sitting bones that you're sitting on, have they got equal weight on both sides, right? Because usually some lower side. So then get that balanced.
Yeah.
And then check in with your pelvis. Is it tilted forward? Maybe you need to bring it back a bit.
Yeah.
Bring it to a state where you have a little curve, where you could imagine a little curve in your lower back.
Yeah.
And then you start breathing. Once you found a comfortable position, you start breathing into your belly. Very often we breathe in a really shallow way. So let's take a moment and consciously breathe into our bellies. And then exhale with a sigh. Just let it go. And do one more like that. Take a deep breath in. Breathing through your nose.
Yes.
That's right. And then all you're going to do is close your eyes if you're in a safe place right now. If not, allow your gaze just to be soft.
Yeah.
And then notice how with every inhale, your body expands, right?
Yeah.
And with every exhale, it contracts. And then you could do something simple, like you could start counting from 1 to 5 as you, and from 1 to 5 as you breathe out.
Yeah.
And this rhythm of 5 will already get you to connect to your heart. Following all the studies from heart math, we know that this synchronizes brains within the body, right? So our gut brain, our heart brain, our head brain, they're all coming into alignment. And then we could add a mantra. So here's my favorite mantra.
Yes, please.
Thich Nhat Hanh, right? A monk. And all it is as you breathe in, you say, I know I am breathing in. And as you breathe out, you say, I know I am breathing out.
I love it.
And then you say, my body and mind are relaxed. I smile. I know this is the present moment. I know this is a precious moment. And you could just keep repeating that mantra, focusing on every single precious breath. And you will notice that in a very, very quick time, your mind will start calming down and you'll start noticing the space between your thoughts.
Yes.
Just like noticing the sky between the clouds.
That's lovely.
So a simple practice like that, set your timer for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Walk surprised how quickly those 10 minutes will go on some days and how endless they'll seem on other days.
Yes.
You'll start noticing the thoughts that keep coming up. You'll start noticing that maybe if you're holding on to a grudge or you're pissed off about someone or something, then that is something that will come up just before your brain starts to relax. It's like when we go to sleep at night. Our brain is actually wired to be able to relax. We do it every single night.
Yes.
But the trick is to do it consciously, to be able to find your peace, your calm, even if the world around you is in chaos. And if we look at where we are right now, we do have a lot of chaos, right?
Tremendous. Tremendous chaos. We need this more now than ever. Now, when everybody is listening to this, and some of you are so wise, you're taking us up on the opportunity, the invitation to do it with us while we're sitting here doing this. It's two friends, two associates, two sisters in this life. We are all in this together. And so now, Joy, tie this into the way in which you open your day, and this gives you, for Sensuous Saturday, a beautiful opportunity to really awaken all of your senses while all this is happening.
That's right. It gives us the opportunity to get out of our intellect, out of that busy mind of ours, and to connect with our other senses, because that's what sensuous means, right? That we're stepping out of the mind and we're connecting more to the body.
Yeah.
And when we connect to the body and we're in the now, we're able to drop into that beautiful space of creation. Because creation doesn't really happen when we're super busy. It actually happens when our brain waves are relaxed, when we're tuned into what is it that I desire? What is it that I want to see happening in life? And when we combine that with emotions, so we emotionalize a vision like that,
Yeah.
our unconscious mind has to follow suit. That's how we create. And I think it's such a pity that we don't teach that. I mean, I know there's a system behind it. We are consciously not teaching it right now, unfortunately, to children, but we should be. We should be teaching children how to start their day in meditation. I would love to see schools congregate. They could even do it all in their classrooms with social distance.
Absolutely.
Have their yoga mats and they sit.
Yes.
What we started our days like that, and then rolled into what needs to be done.
Yes.
Because the thing is, if we start our day, and I had a really shocking experience the other day like that. We had a sleepover at our house, so I often have that, right? You've got kids and we bring kids and whatever. So my 10-year-old daughter had a sleepover with two other girls her age, and one of them ended up sleeping on the couch, and I didn't notice that. So I was in the morning getting up, making my coffee, and then I look and I think, oh, there's a little girl lying there. Sorry, I crept around. And then she stirred because I was making coffee and making a noise. And this is what happened. This little girl fast asleep on the couch. She woke up, she did this, and she got onto her phone.
Oh.
And I stood in the kitchen and I was like, oh my God, really? I don't know if you've seen the Friends movie. There was this one actress that, oh my God, this is happening.
Yes.
And I know that adults do it. And you know, I've just seen all the studies. People who don't go on their phones for the first 2 hours of the day are 83% more productive. Hear that?
Good.
Most of
Oh
us do.
my God, I'm so guilty.
Yeah,
But a child.
I was too.
I
was.
Oh.
Until I heard it from Brendan Burchard in one of his workshops.
Yeah.
And I was struck. And I thought, holy shit. Well, if that is all it takes, well, then why don't I just not do that?
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, you know what? The first 2 hours of the day are sacred to me. I love them. Sometimes I get up real early like you.
Yeah.
And I do that because everybody's asleep. The day is fine. I am setting my intention. I'm doing my gratitude practice. I'm able to define how I want today to be.
Right.
I mean, it won't always work out that way, but my intention has to be there.
Yes, it is so vital. I mean, even with me living solo, I wake up and I am trying to carve out my own space inside of my head because I'm all over the place inside of my head. And so I've gotten into the habits of laying in bed and experiencing my senses, paying attention to the sounds of nature, feeling my body move, my hearing, my vision, my taste in my mouth, which then motivates me to brush my teeth. Inspiration. And then I am thankful for being able to get up and move, and thankful that, hey, you know, I literally, Joy, I'm telling you, I wake up every morning and I say thank you. There are many people who didn't awaken this morning, and they won't. And then I start moving. I get the coffee started. I will sometimes have the music start, and I'm listening to soft classical or soft jazz or sounds of nature. If it's a part of nature I don't hear, and then I want to collect myself. I'm going to incorporate your 10 minutes though. I'm dedicated to that now.
I
And
love
then
this.
I start writing by hand, not
Yes.
on my computer. I live in my computer for so many hours a day, but writing by hand, a table by the windows, I'm looking out and I'm scribing and setting my intentions and my gratitude for the day. And because by the time you get to hour number 2 or 3, you turn on the news,
It takes over.
everything, yes, the pace changes as its stimulation comes in. And we need to control that desperately.
Agreed. Agreed.
You know,
And
one of the
I,
things that you did that I love, and then I'm going to back up for a minute because I know I've stopped you twice. You and I both have herbs in our house: mint, rosemary, oregano, thyme, the things that are delightfully beautiful and aromatic on the table, you know, so you can experience the garden right there. And then put it in.
this practice.
Yes,
Yes.
I
So
love.
for me, gardening, getting out into
Oh,
nature,
yes.
and you know, science is showing it's so essential for our health.
Yes.
Us to be connected to the electromagnetic force field of the earth. It's healing. So
Yes.
get out into nature as much as you can. And I know if we're in cities, it can be hard, but
Yeah.
there are parks, you might have a balcony or something where you could grow
Yes.
some herbs, but get your hands dirty.
Yes, exactly.
Get in there, and also, you know, that I love teaching that to children too. I think we should all be learning how to grow our own food and commune with nature more.
Yes.
So by doing that, even in your own home, you're bringing nature at least into your home, and that is a very beautiful sensuous practice that can really, you know, get rid of a lot of stress. If I am feeling all buzzed up or tired even,
Yes.
I'll go out and garden and I'll feel much better within shortest time.
Absolutely. I love that. In my homes, I've always got a lot of plants. I've got palm trees and things that are blossoming, geraniums and spider plants and philodendron,
Good for the
schefflera. Yeah. And for
head.
me, I just putter around and tend to them. So I'm outside of myself. I'm getting my hands dirty. I've always got at least a 40-pound bag of potting soil here.
So, yeah. So, yeah. I usually have dirt under my nails, and so I'm keeping them well hidden. And lovely other sensuous practice I would like to share, because we do have this theme for today,
Yes.
is the goddess bath. The goddess bath was taught to me by Mama Gina, who taught the Womanly School of Arts in New York that I attended and loved. And it's a beautiful practice to do, especially afternoon, evening, when you're kind of feeling, or I don't know, sometimes I feel like I've got the whole day stuck on me. I just feel dirty, right?
Yeah.
But I love taking baths. And the goddess bath is real simple. You take a carton of milk. I like buying milk from happy cows, and I don't usually drink milk, but I like putting it in my bathtub.
Okay.
So get a carton of happy milk cow milk, then a little pot of honey, right?
Okay.
Honey is a really a magical moisturizer for the skin, actually. So you use milk and you use honey. Then you get maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 roses. You need some fresh rose petals.
Yeah.
Then you put up some candles, some pretty music, whatever your music gets your jojo going. And then put the bath in, put the milk in, the honey in, the rose petals, light the candles, and then get into the bath, imagining maybe that you're like Cleopatra or whatever.
Yes.
there's a guy listening now, and feel, you know, that wonderful feeling of dipping into that warm water and getting that silky feeling on your skin, and you know, all the aromas from the roses and the honey, and it's a beautiful thing to do. And then imagine really releasing everything that no longer serves you. Give it into the water. It sounds maybe a little woo woo, doesn't matter. Try it out.
That's
It's
right.
beautiful, and I like doing that for, you know, as a ritual. And rituals do have a lot of impact on our brain.
Yes,
A
they
ritual can give some closure to something. Rituals are really important to help us feel safe in life.
Yes.
So if you like that idea, take a goddess bath, and yeah, let us know what sensuous experiences you have.
Absolutely. I have in my homes, in hotels when I travel, I always request that there is a tub.
Mm.
And I love a nice big long tub. I've got a nice jetted tub, and I do that. I've got different concoctions that I put together. I'm going to do the milk and honey today, though. The aromas that we have in there, always having candles, and the music, the soothing of it all is just magnificent.
And I think that's what many of us really need right now, is that soothing, that comfort. That, you know, we've been so shocked by the whole global lockdown and everything that's happened these last months. I mean, our lives have completely changed in so many ways.
Yes.
And so it's really important to have these practices of comfort and soothing for ourselves, because we have to learn to manage ourselves. I think, you know, as much as we can see we need to build community, we need to support each other, we need to take care of each other, we at the same time need to learn how to take better care of ourselves. Because especially if we're women, for instance, and we're maybe moms or we're teachers to others, what are we doing if we are burning ourselves out, you know, just running all day? Well, what kind of role models are we to our kids? How
Exactly.
are they going to ever learn? So, you know, the whole concept of self-love was crucial to me to find my joy.
Yeah.
I was just not programmed to take care of myself first, for sure not. And I
Yeah.
think many of us are, because, you know, many religions tie into that. You know, you serve others, and you're a good girl, or a good boy, or whatever.
Right.
And yes, we should be good, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we are good.
Yes.
And that really, I've noticed, can be a big stumbling block for a lot of people. They have no idea what self-love actually means. So,
You know, that's fascinating that you say that. One of the exercises that I talk to people about is every day coming in close to you and looking yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, and saying hello. And reminding yourself, I love you.
mm,
I have had people do this at events and had mirrors on the tables where they're sitting, and have them hold up the mirror, and I'd say, just introduce yourself. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is so weird.
embarrassing. This is so stupid.
Yeah. And then I say, okay, now that you've made fun of it and that this is all hilarious, good for you. Kudos, kudos. Glad you're laughing. You're getting the right neurotransmitters going. Now you're in full cooperation with me. And so what I want you to do, I want the room completely quiet. And I'm going to count 90 seconds for you to hold a gaze with yourself. I'm going to tell you, Joy, people start to cry because they have never looked at who is in there, or it's been so long they have forgotten.
Yes.
That is heartbreaking. How can we get a grip? It's exactly what you're saying. If we don't love the self, of course it is selfish. Selfish has got a negative connotation where we need to inject love into the formula and make sure that we know what it is that we are, what it is that we are, and who it is that we are, and what we want. That quieting down, that goddess bath. What do we call it when it's a man, a bath? Godden?
A man god bath, maybe?
Yeah,
God
godly.
bath.
Yes, there you go, a godly bath. That self-love, that caressing your own body, feeling your touch on your skin, and loving yourself. Oh my
We're
goodness.
going to talk pleasure.
Yes.
They're going to happen. Okay, cool. Because I feel that's where we're going. You know, we
Yes.
some self-love, and we have sensuality going on. So I think we need to talk pleasure. And
Yes.
pleasure is another thing that for many people has negative connotation. I was just talking to a friend yesterday, a really spiritual guy, super evolved and whatever. But when we were talking about pleasure, he himself noticed how it has a kind of thing that it might be too good to be true, or it might just be wrong because
Yeah, right.
it's pleasurable. So we dissected that and looked where it was coming from. And part of what he then realized was it was that, you know, the good Jewish boy
Yeah.
that was not taught pleasure. And I know I you know, I have so many religions in me because I was baptized Church of England. Then I grew up in Austria, which is a Catholic country, but they didn't know where to put me, so they put me Protestant religious studies. And then I have Jewish background, and actually I don't go to church at all. You know, I'm a more free spirit, and I like Buddhism as well. So it was so interesting to see that even if we no longer consciously subscribe to a religion, that programming of what we received in childhood, especially the first 7 years,
Oh yeah.
will definitely impact how we see life later.
Yep.
And when it comes to pleasure, I've just noticed that nearly all religions have a kind of taboo on it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reason for that. I'm just reading a fascinating book by Ingo Swann called Psychic Sexuality. Very wordy book. It goes into a lot of history about a lot of these things. And his concept, which seems really valid, is that it was not, churches didn't want people to have so much pleasure and to discover that actually that pleasure energy and the manifestation energy, right? When we, for instance, create the child,
Yes.
that is actually crucial to any manifestation.
Yes.
If that word got out, people would be too powerful. What if people suddenly knew how to manifest?
Exactly.
And because of that, it was just taken out of all publishings. It was banned. It was tabooed. There was shame and guilt thrown into the game. And what happens then? People no longer do it. And if they then do it, they feel almost ashamed for it.
Yes.
And shame is one of the lowest frequencies that we have on this planet. Shame is lower than grief. So the best way to keep people small is make them feel fearful, make them feel ashamed of themselves, guilty.
Yep.
Easy, cheap.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, put a mask over their face so that they can't even see themselves.
I knew you'd bring it up.
I can't. I really am so annoyed by all of it. You know, I'm so glad that you're talking about this, because when I had announced and posted and talked about Sensuous Saturdays, and then started talking to people about it, there was a lot of like, whoa.
What are they going to be talking about?
Yeah, what are you going to do? Well, come find out, you know. When I was first married, and so there was that recoil, okay? You know, oh my God, sensuous. When I was first married, my husband had said to me, I want you to read Wilhelm Reich, The Function of Orgasm.
No kidding. I've got to stop you right there. I have proof for what I'm going to say right now, if you ever want to see this. This morning, I woke up, as I told you, 2:30 a.m. I was pissed off at waking up that early.
Yeah.
But I woke up, went into my meditation room, sat down, and I was told, pick up this book. I have it there. It's called Luminous Life by Jacob Lieberman.
Yeah.
Pick up this book, open it at this page.
Yeah.
Fourth line down, read that thing. I did, and it's William Reich. I do not kid you. Okay, William Reich. Why? I even went online and I started studying him. He's an Austrian psychoanalyst, right?
Yep.
So how come he's up in our conversation now? How is that happening?
Our alignment. When you put your energy in someone's direction, it's just like I mean, all this comes together. So if it sounds tangential, it's not. We're on a pathway here, but you know, we all have the experience of, you know, somebody's been on my mind a lot lately. You know, I've been thinking about this person. I never resist. I make the connect. And then, or if it's somebody that I'm at odds with, and by the way, there are people I'm at odds with. When there are people that I'm at odds with and I'm thinking about them, I think there's something going on. So I will reach in that direction, and there is always something going on. They've been calling me in their mind, in their heart, and looking for peace or resolve or help of some sort. you know, that, so I love that you just shared that that was an experience. And we have that, you know, there's an energetic desire for, between Joy and I, to be helpful and to be learned with each other, because we each offer something. And I mean, I think you offer like a million times more than I do. And so I want to learn, and but I also want to be really conscious all the time about what I give back. But you know, this whole thing about the function of the orgasm, when people in power want to keep the power, they have to make sure that people don't have a mind of their own, that they're not coming up with their own original thinking. Otherwise, they're going to say, well, excuse me, I don't really think you have any authority over me. I mean, if we have rules of civilization, that's one thing, but you're not allowed to tell me exactly what to do and exactly where to go, because I know how to make myself happy. Oh, wait a second. Not only do I know how to make myself happy, I know how to make myself really happy. My partner and I really know how to make one another really happy. And you can have the whole world be exploding around us, but when we start getting our senses alive with everything from how the softness of our clothing to the aromas we do on our body to what we eat and drink, the smell of the coffee, the music that we play, the furniture we set on, the way we dance with each other and embrace, the way that we become romantic and physically intimate because we're emotionally released. All of that is part of our sensuality. It's also part of our independence and our freedom. And now there's a mandate that's being rumored that you should wear a mask in your house, even when you're alone, and when you have sex, that you and your partner should wear a mask.
Yep.
So
I always say, I'm sorry, I have this joke going on with my kids. It's like,
yes.
if we see someone driving alone in their car with a
I,
mask on,
oh my God.
we say that is just like lying alone in your bed with a condom on. It's just like, I mean, go ahead, do it, but why, right? Yeah. Now, I love that we're talking about the sexual energy that is in every single one of us, right?
Yes.
And yeah, we can choose what we do with it. We can choose to deny it. Then we will for certain feel that part of that life will be missing. So we're going to have to kind of compromise, or we're going to have to fill it up with something else. So I'm not saying it's not possible. There are people who are celibate and very, very happy. But if we acknowledge sexual energy, we have a choice that we can make. We know that it has the power of creation. And with that power of creation comes a responsibility. So I think where we both agreed, Deborah and I, is we're not advocates of saying, oh, just follow your pleasure. I don't know, go and
right.
procreate all over the world. No, that's not what we're saying.
No, not at all.
We're saying acknowledge that energy in you, and then ask yourself, what is the highest purpose for it to be used for? You know, what am I going to do with it? And I think that approach would teach all of us actually a more sacred way of dealing with sexuality.
Yes.
It would be the antidote to a lot of horrific things that are going on especially on the sexual agenda, right?
Yes.
We need to be, as you were saying, we need to be at peace with it. And we need to use it as something that is a sacred tool of creation that I do consciously.
Yes.
And then I feel the pleasure in life naturally, levels up. Mm-hmm. And all we're doing there in all of this, and I think that's why William Reich came up, because he was actually the kind of the finder of the orgone, right?
Yes.
So he and his work is then picked up on by Jacob Lieberman now, who describes that we're all light beings, right? So he's coming from the view as an eye doctor, and he's done tons and tons of research showing us that we are beings that feed off light. We literally need light, and how the whole of nature is actually following the light. And if we as human beings acknowledge that light being within us, consciously connect to the light more by going outside more, being under full spectrum sunlight, many hours a day. He recommends 3 hours a day for us to be fully charged, right? So even just meditation practice, like we were talking about, will charge your light. do it out in nature, even better, right?
Yeah.
So by acknowledging this light, following that light, what happens is that the light will start guiding us more and more. And then the magic starts happening, because then life no longer is that challenging and overwhelming and stressful, but life becomes graceful. And I think that is what we're actually all seeking for. We're seeking for that flow in life.
Yeah.
And flow is defined as that state where we have no sense for time. We're so immersed into what we're doing. It's something that is just right in our, challenging us just enough to keep us going, to keep our focus, and then time just flies, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that's the creative flow that we can create with, if we acknowledge the sexual energy and acknowledge pleasure and make it a staple part of our diet in life.
Yes. Well put. When people, when I talk about sensuality and people recoil, what I ask them is, if you have a religious conflict with this, let me invite you into the reality that whether you believe in evolution or you believe in God and the ways in which we were created, I don't think there's, by the way, disharmony in any of the theories. It all comes together, and it is just putting an element of logic into this. But we have a creator who gave us these wonderful vehicles for our spirit to inhabit, with this incredible ability to see the visual part of our reality, the way it's tied to our brain, in our occipital lobe, in the back of our head, the ways in which we can hear and speak and taste and smell and touch. We were not given these gifts to turn them off and to shield ourselves and to cut ourselves off from the world and from nature and from our own self. We weren't given the gift of being able to hear and create music. We heard the songs of the birds and the waves and the wind and the insects and the little frogs, and we were inspired to write music and to sing. And all of these are sensual experiences.
I love that you're bringing up singing. Have you heard Tina Turner's spiritual work? She's written some beautiful songs.
No.
Oh, I will send you some links.
Really?
Tina Turner, she's deeply spiritual, has a whole bunch of beautiful songs out there. And there's one in where she gives a little sort of talking, singing kind of thing. And she says, wake up each morning singing like a bird. Singing takes you beyond. It's Beyond. The song is called Beyond. Listen to Beyond. And when I heard that song, it reminded me of how as a child, I would sing a lot.
Yes.
I always loved singing in choirs, and it was such a staple part of my life, but somehow I stopped.
Yeah.
And then I would sing to my young children, but now that they're older, I noticed I'd stopped singing. Yeah. And then actually going back into yoga school, I started, chanting again.
Yeah.
And then I picked up on the chanting, and now always when I'm in the car on my own, or sometimes even with my poor passengers, I'll be chanting my way, right? And singing really, it's very hard to cry and sing, for instance, at the same time.
Yes.
It's almost impossible, right? So singing really elevates our state. And that's what we need to do. We need to find different ways. And I hope our listeners are having fun with us, throwing different ideas at you. Exactly. What we're trying to do is we're trying to give you different ways of how you can elevate your state, how you can find your joy, how you can tap into that sensual part of your own system so that you can find more happiness. That's our goal, right?
And yes, and when you do this, when you share the experience with another, then the energy between the two of you solidifies the relationship, the connection. So I remember in college hearing about, how is it that we come together and decide who it is we like, and some of the best dates that you ever go on are those ones where the person, like, oh, let's go to the amusement park, or, oh, let's go horseback riding, or let's get in a fast car or something. Well, one of the things that people are trying to do is have a way that your hearts beat faster together and you're energized together, and then you mistakenly assign it to that other person's friend. People fall into the wrong relationship all the time. But when we come together, I'm so sparked by what you're saying, because one of my favorite things is singing, and singing with others. Oh my gosh. I mean,
Proven to
ah,
raise the white blood cells in your body. It actually boosts your immune system. Singing with
yes.
others boosts your immune system. There have been some studies done on that. That's a fun fact to know.
And so there's this one friend of mine, and he is a wonderful guy, and when we sing together, we are so simpatico. But there are times when he's so crabby, he refuses. It's like,
Yeah, it's funny how when we would need these tools most, we usually resist them most.
yes,
So I noticed that even in myself. So, I know so many tools like the tapping and the breathing and the mantra.
yes,
I know gazillion things, but then sometimes I'll even find myself stuck. And then I'll need someone else to show me and say, hey, well, you could do this, right? You could do
right.
that. You could actually change
Yes.
something. And change really happens in that instance. It's just
Yes,
usually
it
we take
does.
so long to get to the moment where I say, okay,
Yes.
now I choose. So here's another little tip for our listeners that I'd love you to take home with you, and that is to be more conscious with your words. So creation happens with the thoughts that you think and the words that you say. So be more conscious in what you use it in the words that you say, and check out how often you use the words I want, I wish, I would, and instead now start committing to saying I choose. When we say I choose, something happens in our brain. It's kind of our unconscious gets, oops, she's serious. Now choose, right? And start playfully, but start incorporating that little fragment, I now choose, very consciously in your day, and notice how you'll start feeling you're regaining your power, because you're making more conscious choices. You're even saying it. I now choose to be happy. I now choose to get out of bed. I now choose to get this done. I now choose to make a call. Yeah, just wanted
Absolutely.
to.
100%. All right, now you had been talking initially when we were talking about doing this episode about writing some poetry.
Oh my God, that was such an interesting phase. Yes,
Really?
totally. Yes, happened following. I was actually doing a lot of reading, and I was also pretty relaxed. So a lot of my workload has fallen off. I've just landed here in the sanctuary. And then suddenly I was in my meditations, but also throughout the day, I would have this in my head, which was kind of telling me these very erotic stories. And at first I was like, well, this is new, right? It's like, I don't know what this is. So, voices in my head, I'm used to them because I know we all have different ones, right? And as a channeler, I'm used to kind of being able to tune in and out of different things. So at some point I said, okay, I'm going to surrender to this, and I'm going to really sit down and take pen to paper, and I'm just going to start writing down these stories.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. I mean, they started out as little poems and then little longer stories. And then I started sending them to my husband. So you can imagine my husband was like, whoa, what is going on with this one? A little confused at first. And then he said, but sweetheart, I mean, even better would be to have it in your voice. So then I said, of course, I can do that. Do you know how challenging it is? Or at least it was for me.
Oh, yeah.
The first challenge was to take it seriously and to actually write it down.
Yeah.
Writing down really hard stuff. It's like, I feel almost embarrassed writing this, right?
Yes, right. That's right.
But to speak it out loud into a recorder,
oh yeah,
that was amazing. But I did it. And I'm so glad that you brought it up, because I noticed just by doing that, and I shared it with my husband. I mean, come on. Right. Still, it felt so vulnerable. It felt so intimate.
Yes.
And yeah, it was a beautiful challenge for me. I really love doing it. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this stuff now, right? So I have a few hot audios and a few hot stories to share. But it doesn't matter. I created it, and I know at the right time, like maybe now, it's important that I talk about it. And who knows? Maybe I think it's start a new channel with hot stories.
Yes. I'll tell you something that has been running through the back of my mind while we've been talking is in these various Zooms and webinars that I've been doing over the last, I don't know how long, but so Dr. Mark Levy is one of my closest friends, brilliant MD, PhD in chemistry, physician, MD, and traditional, but not at all. He is just a genius, an incredible mind, phenomenal diagnostician, and very dialed into integrative medicine and the ways in which we want to do mind-body medicine. So yeah, he will identify your illness, but he identifies illness in a way that is going to be as helpful as possible so we can get to solutions, not just cover-ups, right? And by cover-ups, I mean, just give people pharmaceuticals that'll abate symptoms, but not get to the underlying causes. So we were talking about, what is it that a lot of your patients come in and talk to you about, Dr. Levy? And he said, I tell you what, especially here in 2020, men are coming in and talking to me about sexual dysfunction and erectile dysfunction and being so humiliated by it. But with me as their doctor in the privacy of that room, man to man, they're saying, have you ever had this experience of, and then they get into the discussion and they're saying, Dr. Levy, do you have a pill for me? And he's saying, well, sure, but why don't we talk about what's really going on? And he said, honest to God, there is, with very rare exception, it's where a man's mind is at.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're talking about erotica, when we're talking about sensual, when we're really talking about, the erotic poetry that you are writing and sending to Roy, your husband, and then he is saying, wow, and, Joy, please speak it to me. He in his own way is also being really vulnerable because he's not making the correction and saying, whoa, turn it off. What are you doing? Where'd this come from? What have you been doing? He is being equally vulnerable by saying, it would be even better if I could hear you say this. So then that is two people in this emotionally intimate connection with each other, allowing these beautiful inner deep desires and visualizations and auditory whatevers, gustatory, everything. You'd be embarrassed to write it because you don't want anybody else to see it. You'd be embarrassed to say it because you want anybody else to hear it. But we need to privately awaken and enliven ourselves and one another in ways that are appropriate and intimate and lovely and healthy.
Yeah, amen to that.
So do you want to read anything or share anything with us?
Oh my God.
Is it too racy? Do you have more time to consider? Because you can come back and do it another time.
I think it might be too racy, totally honest. Let me scan my little, no, I don't.
While you're looking, I'll tell a brief story.
You do that.
So when I was in college and really, really wanting to hone in on my writing abilities, which I have been engaged as a writer as long as I can remember, I used to write fake love letters to myself and stick them in the mailbox when I was like in kindergarten. And my mother would say, oh, look, Debbie, you got a letter from somebody. And she'd say, should we read it? And I'd say, I don't know, Mommy. And I would read it out loud. And it was all about how dear Debbie, you're so cute and pretty. I have such a crush on you. Would you be my girlfriend? I love your brown eyes. And my mother would laugh.
You knew how to help yourself. I think that's a fabulous story.
It was wonderful and funny. So I've been this author all along, right? So I'm in college, and this professor of mine says to me, I want you to write a very concrete story. You write, and I can see it, but I can't feel it. I want to feel what you are feeling, what you are describing, what you are doing, like I'm right there in your skin, you. And I said, I don't know, what am I going to write about? That's just so weird. Like, what? She said, it doesn't matter. You pick it. And she said, you seem to be pretty enamored of your spouse, do that. Okay. So I was thinking about it, and he had been traveling. And he had this chamois shirt that I absolutely loved. And so I wrote about the experience. There's a big man. I take a bath. I come out of the bath. I towel dry off. Baby powders, lotions. I put myself in his chamois shirt, which has got his aroma to it, just faintly. I wrap myself in it. I button it, and it's real big, and the sleeves hang down beneath my fingertips. And I put up the collar, and I snuggle into it. And then I go into great detail about all the feelings. I can feel him on my back. And she rewarded me heavily. She said, you know what? I started to cry when I read it because I'm widowed, and I don't have that awakening ever. And
Wow.
this is absolutely spectacular. Okay.
Wow.
We've got,
I love that prep talk. So I'll give you a little taste.
all right, we've got 4 minutes and then we get cut off. All right.
Okay, let's take a deep breath.
All right.
I yearn to feel your skin against mine, to trace the contours of your body with my hands, and to dive into the plains of pleasure with you. I can fantasize about the taste of your kiss as we explore each other's bodies and melt into nothingness. I imagine what you will say when I touch you in places that few have seen, and I explode with bliss, knowing it's only a matter till we connect again. You know how to handle me, she says, connecting to that vulnerable part in me that feels unworthy of the intention and yet yearns for it so deeply. Will I find that perfect touch and rhythm to take her to the highest planes, or will we crash to discover that desire and satisfaction follow their own rules? And who are we to judge what is appropriate? Yeah, I could go on like that, but I think
Oh my gosh. So friends, I hope that you have been ignited here with us today, that you feel alive. That was very intimate. Bless your heart for writing it, having the courage to do that. I applaud. And of course, to hear that, took my mind to a beloved and longing for that. And bless you for sharing it with us. I hope you'll come back and do Sensual Saturdays again and again.
Sure thing.
All right. I love this. Friends, this is your host, Dr. Deb Carlin, here today on the K Factor. Did I bring you kindness today or what? On Sensuous Saturdays. And Joy Martina, Dr. Joy Martina, I absolutely love and adore you. You're just wonderful, and your energy is so good. And the interplay between us and just everything we covered is, I hope, helpful to people all over the planet.
I hope so too. That's my prayer for everyone, that this was helpful and inspiring to you.
Yeah, great. All right. Bless you. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Love to everybody on your end.
Thank you.
You're welcome.